pissing or shitting or doing whatever he's doing. And I screamed at this dog to get the hell out of my yard, and I screamed at her to keep her dogs on a leash if they can't stay with her. And instead of just simply apologizing because she was in the wrong, she argued something back, and I don't know what it was, but it pissed me off. And so it just really got me thinking about humility and the ability to say sorry. I think humility is a very valuable trait to have, and part of being humble includes the ability to say sorry. And there's not a lot of people that seem to be able to apologize, whether they're in the wrong or just trying to diffuse a situation. But it just really blew my mind, and I find a lot of value in being able to apologize. But you should reserve saying sorry for instances when you're in the wrong. You should say sorry when you mean it. And that leads me to something that kind of bothers me. And this is, I'm going to try to say this without coming off wrong. But, like, when my grandparents passed away and people were saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And I found it really bothersome because I feel like there's nothing to say sorry for when somebody dies unless, you're not responsible for their death. Me personally, if somebody has experienced a tragedy or a loss, I like to empathize and say things like, oh, I'm so sad to hear this, or that's terrible that you're going through it, or, something along the lines of really feeling what they're feeling and acknowledging that that person is hurting instead of saying sorry. Because to me, I know it's within good intentions when people say that, and don't get me wrong, I know it's meant in the right way, but I think a lot about word usage lately, and I've been listening to a lot of like Brene Brown talking about the difference between sympathy and empathy, and we should really be striving for more empathy and not sympathy, because sympathy is like, oh, I'm so sorry. But empathy is when you really feel the emotions and you really empathize with that person is going through. We all experience tragedies and loss. That's part of human nature and it's part of life. And so to really put yourself in that position is much more relatable than an empty I'm sorry or an empty apology for something that you had nothing to do with. And this is just to get you guys thinking. This is not to say that people are mean or bad or doing something wrong when they say sorry to somebody who has experienced a loss or a tragedy. But I'm just saying that I prefer to try to really choose my words a little more tactfully and carefully, and I really try to think of something more creative to say that has a little more meaning to it. Because to me now, I just feel like when people say sorry, if you don't really mean it, or if you didn't do something wrong, then don't say sorry. If somebody passes away, just say, oh, I know how that feels. I lost my grandparents too, and it was the worst experience of my life. Or, I can't know how you're feeling because there's a lot of people losing their babies right now with these stupid vaccines. Saying sorry, it's not your fault the baby died. It's the pharmaceutical industry. It's the doctors. It's the CDC. It's this corrupt government. But it's not the layperson's fault. I just think it's so much more thoughtful to be able to really just acknowledge their pain. You know, like, people want to be validated. And that's another issue where, you know, we shouldn't have to look to outside sources for validation, because that comes from within, and that comes down to worthiness. And there's a major lack of worthiness in this society at the moment. So it's this tangled up emotional trauma issue that people are going through right now. Like, everybody's experienced trauma, and it's creating a lot of emotional dysregulation and inability to handle emotions. People aren't really raised to know how to handle emotions, and so that's a lot of where the empty words come from, because people just don't know what to say. They don't know how to respond. They don't know how to feel. They don't know that feelings is okay. There's a lot of like stifling of emotions, and when you bury your emotions, when you suppress them, when you depress them, then it's gonna result in other issues and problems later on. Depression is nothing more than emotions that are suppressed, because emotions are energy in motion. E, as in E equals MC squared. E is energy. So E, motion, energy, motion. And energy wants to move. Energy is always in motion. And so when you're trying to stop those emotions, instead of allowing them to be and expressing them and then releasing them in a healthy way, then they get bottled up and they store in your body on a physical level, on a neurochemical level. If you want a really interesting book to read, The Molecules of Emotion by Dr. Candace Pert is a fantastic book that really explains the scientific and biological connection between our emotions and our body, and how our emotions physically affect us. And the more that you store your emotions in your body, the sicker you're going to become. And I've had some pretty crazy experiences with releasing my emotions through massage therapy, and my chiropractor does more than just adjust. She does body work too. And so when you're releasing tension in the body, a lot of times those muscle tension is just pent up energy and emotions stored in there from many years ago. And so it's really healthy to allow yourself to cry, to allow yourself to express those emotions, and to get body work done and heal yourself that way. Allow yourself, if you have a massage or some body work done and you just start crying for no reason, let it come out. Let yourself cry and let those emotions go. Let it go. And so I don't know. I guess I just wanted to share that little tidbit, because I think we are really lacking in our abilities to relate to others, to feel emotions, to empathize, and to properly express ourselves. And it's kind of a fine line, because there's a lot of people who are just overly emotional too. But again, that comes back to being raised with not knowing how to manage your emotions. So it's going to go one of two ways. People are either going to become way too emotional, or they're going to become totally just dead and not emotional at all. And they're both unhealthy. They both have detrimental effects on a biochemical and physiological level. So, yeah, I want everybody to keep this in mind. Apologies are humble. Say sorry when you mean it, and don't apologize for things that you have nothing to do with. Don't say sorry when you didn't harm somebody or cause something wrong. You know, like, don't say I'm sorry when you're not actually sorry. There's plenty of other words to use. So, anyways, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to share a little insights with you. I am almost to my destination, so you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.